Hello, everyone. This is Jim Okrasinski with a special edition of Screencast Video. So I have just finished reviewing the topic proposals, interesting topics, interesting sources and conversations. Looking forward to reading the final drafts of the literature review. A lot of good information there. So that being said, I commented on those and graded all of those. Some people have a few issues to take care of, but overall, it was really a good topic proposal bunch there. So one thing I do want to touch on is some of the resources for the final, or I should say for the first draft of the literature review. I'm going to run through some of the basics here. I believe I already talked in the weekly screencast video about the requirements, excuse me, about some of the requirements for the first draft, 1,000 words. You should get as many sources in there as possible. I want to remind everybody in the final draft, I'm looking for 4 to 6 sources. You might want to try leaning a little bit more towards the 6 side in case you need some extra content there. Now, the assignment here is pretty straightforward. I feel I don't need to go through the whole thing between the introduction, the body, and also the conclusion. I want to remind everybody it's an MLA format works cited page, and that can be found on a video here that I have. A link in the resources page there. In case you're wondering how to use EasyBib, EasyBib video gives you an idea of how to use EasyBib for those particular sources that you may need those. Alrighty. So the idea here is you want to look at those particular videos to help fill in some of the gaps on that. An interesting page here is the MLA resources, using and citing sources. This is all about the principles of citation. I think everybody should look through the principles as far as introducing sources, starting at ending points for their quoted material, even their paraphrasing, and how important the cross-referencing would be here. But if you have in-text citation, must match the works cited page. I do have a short video here on a University of Minnesota. It does explain exactly how to use and cite sources in academic writing. So I think this is a useful video also, and a useful page here. A couple of comments I made in the topic proposal about introducing sources. You always want to use authors. If you have authors on your sources, you want to be able to use them. It makes working them in text and having a conversation much easier, much more natural in the way of writing. I just want to highlight those. Now, one thing I do, and let me jump back over to the module here. I want to get to the review of literature instructions, is to take a really good look, not only at the Purdue OWL content here, they'll flip to that here about writing a literature review and some tips that you might find there. Also on synthesizing between your sources, Purdue OWL has a very good section here on how to synthesize and draw connections between your sources. I think that's an important process to happen. And a good example of this is the lit review example here on birth order. I think it's a really interesting literature review about birth order. It's focused around Alfred Adler's theory. He was a psychotherapist. And so you can see in this particular example, you have a short opening here. Then it gets right into the source by source conversation of the literature. First article here asserts about Adler's theories. Here's your quote sandwich. Then it connects in a little bit about Adler and his individual psychology theory. And then you move into the next source here on does birth order impact personality? One thing is you see a consistent little connection between Adler's theory along with even a reach back to the previous source here, how that will connect up if you scroll up here, up to this particular source there. So you see a source by source building of the quote sandwiches. You have it reaching back and forth all the time. Between here, we're into Jillian Wilson's article. So what happens here is this source by source while drawing connection gets into an area of discussion and conclusion. And then right here is a works cited page. Perfect example there. If you're looking for something a little bit more, let me close this. If you're looking for something a little bit more colorful, I have another example here about adolescence development, adolescence and divorce. And then we have the different parts are color coded here between quotes, introductions of sources. Also, we have a little bit of synthesis here, a little bit too much in the way of background of the professor here, but here's the quote sandwich and then the conversation there. So you can see in the example how this also is a source by source presentation of the literature on that particular topic. They are a worthwhile read. So I believe that between the two examples and the instructions here, and they follow this particular formatting, I think it'll work out well for you in the future. All right, so if you have any questions or issues as you prepare for the first draft, please send me an email. Good luck.